Goose Gossage seemed to have a why love when you can hate attitude. The MLB superstar was always outspoken, never holding back with his controversial comments. And as for his critiques of players, they've never really stopped, keeping him in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Gossage has always been pretty vocal about his opinions, especially when it comes to how the game of baseball is played today. He's not a fan of bat flips, flashy celebrations, or the growing influence of analytics. Gossage has even called out specific players like Jose Bautista and Robinson Cano, saying their on-field behavior disrespects the game. This has sparked plenty of debate about the unwritten rules of baseball and how the sport is changing. For Gossage, it's clear that the game is going in a direction he doesn't quite agree with. Throughout his career, Gossage built a reputation for being outspoken. He wasn't shy about sharing his thoughts on anything, from analytics and the designated hitter rule to his concerns about Major League Baseball's overall direction. Fans, players, and the media often had strong reactions to his comments, sometimes agreeing with him and other times calling him out. One of his most memorable moments came in 2016 when he got a lot of attention for criticizing the Yankees' comparison of him to Mariano Rivera and Aroldis Chapman. These two closers are considered among the best in the history of baseball, but Gossage argued that he deserved more credit because he was a more versatile pitcher. While Rivera and Chapman mostly pitched one inning, Gossage was often called upon to pitch multiple innings in relief. Some fans saw this as disrespectful to Rivera, a guy widely regarded as one of the best to ever close out a game. Gossage's long list of feuds tells a similar story. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind, no matter who it upset. He had a particularly rocky relationship with the New York Yankees, especially with owner George Steinbrenner and manager Billy Martin. Gossage didn't hold back when it came to criticizing Steinbrenner's meddling in team decisions, and he also didn't like how Martin managed the pitching staff. Eventually, these disagreements led to Gossage leaving the Yankees after the 1983 season, a move that seemed inevitable given the tension. And then there's the famous pine tar incident. In 1983, Gossage found himself at the center of one of the most controversial moments in baseball history. It all happened during a game against the Kansas City Royals when George Brett hit a go-ahead home run off Gossage in the ninth inning. The umpires initially ruled it a home run, but Yankees manager Billy Martin protested, claiming Brett's bat had too much pine tar on it. The umpires agreed and nullified the home run, but the Royals didn't back down. They filed a protest, and the American League president, Lee MacPhail, ended up overturning the decision. The home run was reinstated, and the game was resumed from the point of the controversial call. Gossage did have an incredible career, and his journey in baseball began when the Chicago White Sox selected him in the ninth round of the 1970 MLB draft. It didn't take long for him to make an impact. By 1975, he led the American League in saves, setting the stage for what would become a remarkable career as one of baseball's most feared closers. But like many great players, his path was full of twists and turns, both on and off the field. In 1976, after Gossage had already made a name for himself with the White Sox, he was traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates in a deal that sent him and Terry Forster to Pittsburgh in exchange for Silvio Martinez and Richie Zisk. This was just the beginning of Gossage's many changes in teams, and in 1977, after his stint with the Pirates, he became a free agent. He signed a lucrative deal with the New York Yankees, worth $3.6 million over 6 years. At the time, that was a significant contract and showed the Yankees' commitment to bringing in a high-quality closer. Gossage didn't disappoint. He led the American League in saves again in 1978 with 27, and in 1980, he topped that with 33 saves. But it was the 1978 season that saw one of his most memorable moments. On October 2, 1978, Gossage entered a high-stakes one-game playoff against the Boston Red Sox for the AL East title. The Yankees were holding a 4-2 lead, and Bucky Dent had just hit his famous home run. Gossage came on in relief with one out in the seventh inning, and although he allowed 2 runs in the eighth inning, he hung on to preserve the 5-4 victory. In a tense final inning, with 2 outs and 2 men on base, Gossage got Carl Yastrzemski to pop up to third baseman Greg Nettles, clinching the division championship for the Yankees. But that wasn't the only big moment for Gossage that postseason. Just 5 days later, he was on the mound again, this time in the ALCS against the Kansas City Royals. The Yankees were leading 2-1 in Game 4, and Gossage entered in the ninth inning with a runner on second. He struck out Clint Hurdle and retired Darrell Porter and Pete Lecoq on fly balls to secure the save and help the Yankees clinch the pennant. And as if that wasn't enough, Gossage was also on the mound when the Yankees clinched the World Series title a week later, this time against the Los Angeles Dodgers. In Game 6, with no outs in the eighth inning, Gossage came in and retired Ron Cey on a pop-up, helping the Yankees to their second consecutive World Series title. But Gossage's career wasn't all smooth sailing. On April 19, 1979, after a loss to the Baltimore Orioles, Gossage got into a heated argument with teammate Cliff Johnson, which would ultimately lead to a fight. It started when Reggie Jackson, known for his fiery personality, joked with Johnson about his struggles against Gossage. Gossage had previously made fun of Johnson's tendency to either hit home runs or strike out, giving him the nickname Breeze because his big swings kept Gossage cool on the mound in hot weather. When Jackson relayed Gossage's comments to Johnson, the situation escalated quickly. The team, egged on by Jackson, began mocking Johnson, calling him Breeze and laughing. Johnson, understandably, was furious, and a fight broke out between him and Gossage. In the scuffle, Gossage injured his right thumb, tearing ligaments, and was sidelined for 3 months. The injury was a big blow to the Yankees, costing them a chance at winning a third straight World Series title. Yankees owner George Steinbrenner was furious with both players, and he fined Gossage and Johnson. Tommy John, a veteran pitcher on the team, called it a demoralizing blow to the team. 2 months later, Johnson was traded to the Cleveland Indians. In 1980, despite the drama surrounding the fight, Gossage continued to prove himself. In the first game of a doubleheader on October 4th, he earned his career-high 33rd save in a 5-2 victory over the Detroit Tigers, helping the Yankees clinch another division title. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. On October 10th, during the ALCS against the Royals, Gossage gave up a 3-run home run to George Brett, a pivotal moment that allowed the Royals to sweep the Yankees and deny them a chance at another World Series. The game became famous for Brett's dramatic home run, which would later be immortalized in the Pine Tar game during a regular season matchup between the two teams a few years later. Gossage's postseason performances were critical for the Yankees in the 1981 AL Division Series, where he recorded saves in all 3 of the team's victories over the Milwaukee Brewers. He didn't allow a single run in 6-2-3 innings of work. Once again, he was the final pitcher when the Yankees clinched the 1981 pennant against the Oakland Athletics. In 1983, after several successful years with the Yankees, Gossage became frustrated with Yankees owner George Steinbrenner's constant interference in the team's affairs. He famously referred to Steinbrenner as the fat man upstairs and criticized how manager Billy Martin was using him. Gossage made it clear that he wasn't going to re-sign with the Yankees after the 1983 season, and he became a free agent once again. Gossage left behind a remarkable legacy with the Yankees. By the time he departed, he had set the team's career record for ERA and hits per 9 innings among pitchers with at least 500 innings pitched. After leaving the Yankees, Goose Gossage found a new home with the San Diego Padres. In 1984, his career hit another high note when he helped the Padres clinch their first-ever World Series appearance. During Game 5 of the National League Championship Series against the Chicago Cubs, Gossage pitched the final 2 innings after the Padres had put up a 4-run 7th inning to take a 6-3 lead. However, Gossage's World Series experience that year was bittersweet. In Game 5 against the Detroit Tigers, with 2 runners on and first base open, the Padres faced a critical decision. The coaching staff and manager Dick Williams suggested intentionally walking Tigers right fielder Kirk Gibson, but Gossage refused. On the second pitch to Gibson, Gossage's decision backfired. Gibson launched a towering home run to deep right field, effectively clinching the World Series for the Tigers. The Padres' hopes of a title came to a crushing end, and that moment is remembered as one of the most painful decisions in Gossage's career. Despite this setback, Gossage remained a force on the mound. In 1986, while playing for the Padres, Gossage had another significant moment. On August 17th of that year, he struck out Pete Rose in what would be Rose's final Major League at-bat. The moment marked the end of an era for Rose, but it also highlighted Gossage's ability to come through in big moments. In 1988, Gossage was traded to the Chicago Cubs, along with Ray Hayward in exchange for Keith Moreland and Mike Brumley. It didn't take long for Gossage to continue his march up the record books. On August 6th of that year, he became just the second pitcher in Major League Baseball history to record 300 career saves. He achieved this in a 7-4 victory over the Philadelphia Phillies, entering the game with 2 outs in the 9th inning and 2 men on base. But Gossage's time with the Cubs was short-lived. He was released by the team in March 1989, and by April, he had signed with the San Francisco Giants. He didn't stay with the Giants for long, though, as the Yankees selected him off waivers later that summer, bringing him back to the team where he had made a name for himself in the late 70s and early 80s. After his brief return to the Yankees, Gossage's career took an international turn. In 1990, he headed overseas to play for the Fukuoka Daiei Hawks in Japan's Nippon Professional Baseball. Gossage's time in Japan was part of his later career revival, which saw him continue to pitch well into his 40s. In 1991, he returned to Major League Baseball when he signed with the Texas Rangers. Gossage's final MLB stop came in 1994 with the Seattle Mariners. It was during his time with the Mariners that he reached another milestone. On August 4, 1994, he became the third pitcher in MLB history to appear in 1,000 games. Gossage entered a game against the California Angels with 2 outs in the 7th inning and runners on second and third base, trailing 2-1. He ended up getting the win when the Mariners scored 3 runs in the 8th inning to seal a 4-2 victory. In his final Major League appearance, on August 8, 1994, Gossage earned a save, pitching 3 perfect innings, his first save in over 15 months. The Mariners beat the Rangers 14-4, with Gossage retiring all 9 batters he faced. Jose Canseco, who had been a familiar foe during Gossage's career, flew out to left field for the final out. Over the course of his career, Gossage accumulated an eye-popping 112 career blown saves, which some may view as a blemish. However, blown saves aren't always a reflection of a pitcher's true ability. As ESPN pointed out, both Gossage and fellow Hall of Famer Rollie Fingers, who also had a significant number of blown saves, were among the best in the business. Franz Zimnick, in his book Fireman, The Evolution of the Closer in Baseball, emphasized that to blow that many saves, a pitcher must have been in many tough situations, which speaks to Gossage's ability to handle pressure. More than half of his blown saves came in high-stress situations with the tying run on base when he entered. In fact, nearly half of those tough saves involved Gossage entering the game in the 6th or 7th inning, giving him more chances to blow the save, but also more opportunities to preserve the lead. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for tuning in.